Can everyone see my screen or is it actually black?
We can see it.
Can see it? Okay, because I only see a black version of what I'm sharing. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to the SIG Network Policy API Working Group meeting. Today is the 7th of October, 2025. Let's all follow the CNCF Code of Conduct and be nice to each other. There are a few items on the agenda. We will go through them. And meanwhile, if anyone else has stuff they want to add, please feel free to do so. Over to you, Dan. You have quite some nice, interesting items here, starting with
I mean,
cases.
it's all one thing. So, or I guess two issues that related. So yeah, so Casey filed this bug suggesting that we should reduce the range of possible priorities on the grounds that this way you can exactly map every rule in every network policy in a single tier to a distinct integer, which can then be used, for ordering them. And of course, I know OVN Kubernetes does something similar, except that it actually restricts the priority range to 100 because it needs to fit it into a smaller range. Um, but then, this gets into all kinds of questions like, well, why do we want this to fit into 16 bits per tier rather than 16 bits for everything? And in fact, I mean, Surya, it seems like the addition of priorities to baseline network policy is going to break OVN Kubernetes, right? Because you don't have enough room for all of the values anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. So how many are we saying that so within each tier, I think we're saying we can support up to 100 ingress and egress, right?
Yes, or no, within each policy, you mean?
Sorry, within each policy. So
Yeah.
within each policy, we have 100 ingress and egress. And given that 100 ingress and egress are orthogonal, so we can just take that as 100. What about the tier value? That's just 3 of them, right?
Well, I mean, the
With
part of the
2.
point of adding tier was that we might add more tiers in the future, right? Like, so
Yeah.
this then gets into the second issue, which is that when I was trying to um, fix that CIDR validation problem, it made the cell cost for validating networks rules more expensive, which then hit up against the max items. And you were saying, oh yeah, you'll have to lower max items somewhere. But
Yeah.
that's potentially an API break. The whole thing just seems very fragile. Partly, that if we're going to extend it, the cell cost problem becomes big. But then the other thing is that if people are depending on being able to multiply these numbers together and have it fit within a certain range, then we're limiting our ability to extend the API in the future, right? And I wasn't sure exactly how we want to fix this. Bowie, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I feel like without unless you paired these restrictions with like a specific artifact, um, I have a hard time. Well, listen to this conversation that we just had. We're going to have a really hard time reasoning about what number makes sense, unless the number is like extremely small, like 10 or something, right? Because it's just like for my system, I can only have 10 here, but for yours, you can have like 1,000, and then, but yours, you can have 10 somewhere else. And then like it, it seems hard to be able to come up with something good unless everything is so ridiculously small that like, it's just like everything like has to fit unless you're running it on like an embedded device or something.
And I'm not sure we had specific reasons for the 100 max items on rules other than that we needed to have something there for cell validation. Does that seem right to you, Surya?
Yeah. So when I did the cell validation, it was going to unbounded limits, and then API team said that's never a good idea.
I agree with that. Like, I think we should have like flat out limits so people don't submit silly things. It's less clear if we want to start really trying to lower it to the point where it fits in a particular implementation, given that there's no one implementation this is mapping to. Like that I think is like why 500 why not 256? And then you get into some harder to understand discussions.
I feel like Calico's kind of taken the approach of not trying to have hard limits like this in the APIs, and so we allow your like our equivalent to priority to range, and then we just rely on like users not doing totally ridiculous things and creating 100,000 policies and that kind of thing on a single endpoint, like on a single pod. I think it's useful to have the larger integer range and to be able to use it sparsely, because that makes it a lot easier to kind of delegate chunks of the range to different folks. 1,000 is a nice round number for that, because you can delegate in blocks of 100, and then you can subdivide in blocks of 10 within your team or something like that. It seems like a nice round number. 500's not awful from that point of view. But if we need to reduce the number of rules in a policy anyway for cell purposes, I think we could probably do that. I know of users who put lots of rules in one policy, and I'd often rather they didn't.
Dan,
So-
do you know, how did you measure the complexity? And then where is it coming from? Is it through iteration of all the 100? I'm just curious, like, how you measured this.
Oh, Dan, go ahead. It's okay. You can answer Bhuvi and then I can go.
Oh, I thought he was asking that to Sean.
I thought he asked you, how did you measure?
Yeah, how did you
it, right?
measure the cell complexity?
He has a PR here, and you can see that Dan is trying to add a new cell validation. Well, I think I'll let you speak, Dan, because you're
Yeah,
the one.
it fails validation right now because
Oh, I see. Exceeds the budget
Yeah.
of, okay.
By a factor of this. Yeah, I've hit this before, and this is exactly why I added max items to every single thing in our API. And Dan was not even trying to fix that. I think Dan was trying to fix a problem we have with the is-cider
Well,
API
so the-
validation, which is broken, and then
yeah,
Yeah,
so the
go
issue is that I had to replace the is cider call with is cider and something else, and so that makes it more expensive, and so the existing limit was now too small, or too large.
Sorry, I'm very unfamiliar with how this is calculated. Does it synthetically try to, like, how does it work? Maybe that's a more basic question from my understanding.
So the cell parser assigns a cost to every function and mathematical operation, and so that you can then say what the cost is for evaluating any given rule, and then you can multiply that out times the max items in an array and figure out the total cost of maximum cost of validating that entire array and so on. So
I see. So it is, okay, so max items is like explicitly multiplied in there.
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, got it. Interesting.
But
That's kind
so I
of
was going
cool,
to
also kind of annoying.
Yeah, well, so I was gonna agree with something you were saying, that and Sean also, that I imagined priorities being used sparsely, and likewise, I mean, I think everybody imagines number of rules being used sparsely. We don't expect that people are going to put 100 rules on each policy. We expect that most policies will have a small number of rules, and so it didn't make sense in my head, having not even tried to implement this, to try to map number of priority levels times number of rules into integers, because that array is going to end up being so incredibly sparse that that's a waste of your range of priorities. It seemed like it would make more sense to dynamically map that down to a smaller range if you only have a smaller range of numbers that you can deal with.
Yeah.
Of course, I agree with you because you're agreeing with me, But I mean, that just seems like natural protection for the system that implements it, because assuming you could just do a direct map sounds like you're asking for problems. It would just be really inflexible, right? Like you add like yet another axis and then suddenly it's like a boom, like you've basically blown up your space.
But on the other hand, right, so that's exactly what OV and Cube does today, but be restricted to only 100. Even if it's a sparse thing, we say go give 0 to 10 to someone, 30 to 40 to the other one. Don't give 100 to someone and then 800 to someone. Give 10 and then 80, right? So we only go from 0 to 100 in OV and Cube because we do a direct mapping. But I remember discussing this, right? But at the end of the day, if you think about it, we are saying that we allow people to have up to 1,000 policies. And now with 2 tiers, it's 2,000 policies. And each of the policies can have 100 rules. So we are actually allowing people to shoot themselves in the foot and do crazy things at the end of the day, right? And we're expecting them to also be the good citizens and not do that. Is that?
So
So
this
maybe we
gets
could,
into
like,
what I was saying a few bullet items down, is that the goal here was to prevent unintended denial of service attacks, basically, right? To keep the user from having too much policy. And I wonder if like there's a better way we can express that rather than having N here and M there and whatever and all of that. Because yeah, we when we decided to add the baseline tier, we were not saying we will now require all implementations to be able to support twice as many network policies and twice as many rules, right? We meant that we would add this expressivity, but we implicitly did intend that you would have to, there would be lower limits.
Sorry, Sean, you have your hand. I have some comments, but
Yeah.
maybe.
I was just saying, I mean, I think we have different implementations that sort of fail in different ways, but I mean, if you actually created thousands and thousands and thousands of policies, which this allows you to do, and maxed out the number of rules in Calico, as you increase the number, like our policy rendering would slow down and your packet processing would slow down because you have more policies applied to each packet. But I don't like the limit on how much you should have is much lower than this maximum theoretical limit. But at the same time, like sometimes you get a user with a wacky requirement and they push what we can do, and then we respond with performance patches, and it goes backwards and forwards, and it's very much implementation dependent. I mean, it sounds like CubeOVN has some hard limits in there, and you might want to consider addressing those so that you can be a bit more flexible.
Yeah, I think my main kind of, it's hard for me to reason about is like, it's not clear to me that any values we set at this layer, as I was saying, unless they're like extremely small, actually addresses the problem. Because if you multiply them all together, you probably end up with this like huge envelope where your design will have, like anyone's designs will probably run into trouble in some corner of it. And then if we like basically like try to shrink it down so small that it's for sure the case that every implementation can do it, that it might be a bad user experience. Like they might have to get crammed into like a tiny space. So it feels like it's not solvable, unfortunately, at this level, or maybe we need to think of like a different approach to signal to the user that they have too many policies, and like what happens in that case. Because like you could hit a scale limit even if you meet all the numbers here, but it's like some other axis. It's like you would still want to signal policy overload somehow.
Yeah, I think what I was about to say is that if we do go down that path, we should definitely try to provide some user documentation on maybe it's an implementation thing and not an API thing, but at the end of the day, we are designing an API that we know won't work if somebody loads it fully. So we could at least put that as a perf and scale recommendation to not do 2000 policies across 2 tiers with 100 rules with each of them. The other thing that I was about to say, which kind of now forgot, was actually around the rules. Is there actually, so I understand the sparse packing, and which is why we want 1,000 numbers. What about the rules? Why do we need 100 in each object? Is there a use case for that? Because ANP selects mostly across namespaces, right? Like no matter how I think about it, like how can you have, why would anyone want to have 100 of them in each object? Is this a time to rethink the max items there, or is this the same
So you're
argument as for the
who-
policy?
You're the one who added the max items, right?
I think it was in the initial cap, like, so some of them had 100 and maybe I just like reused
okay.
100, or maybe it was a random number, like, I don't know, I can't remember.
I mean, we
add
certainly
100
don't
to
have
some of
user
them.
stories with 100 rules.
At least we could cut it to 50, that would solve the cell problem.
From
We
a
can keep the
API backwards
1,000, right?
compatibility, is it let's say we pick a number and we get it wrong. From API compatibility, we can always increase the number. Is that
Yeah.
right? And we don't really need to do anything. You might as
Right,
well
we
start
can
small
always
then.
increase, right? Exactly. We can always increase, but we can't go back once we do the beta v2, beta v1.
Actually, in that case, it's like, why not 25? But
Yeah, why not 25? I actually don't mind it because I think we have 25 siders. We just say in a rule you can, and it's not just 100 rules, right? Within each rule you can have up to 25 siders. So now you can see the map going even bigger. So maybe 25 rules makes sense.
the reason, sorry, Sean, I'm like totally stepping on you. But like, does 25 give us sufficient headroom for the cell validation? Right? Like that one is kind of interesting because that is an actual number we can observe when we like tweak these values. Because it would be good to know how much headroom we have in the cell validation across all of these things.
The error on Dan's PR that was just shown a little while ago said there was a factor of 1.46. So presumably if we cut to a quarter, we should have headroom, assuming it's just multiplied up.
Yeah. The other thing is like, that is not a lot of headroom. So I'm always curious, like we want more cell validation, but it looks like there's like some very finite limit that you can add.
But I think once we fix the actual, so are we going to fix the is cider? Because if we are fixing is cider, then we don't need both of these matches in the long term, and that would actually help us get more cost.
I mean, well, that issue is still open. It is likely that either we'll change is cider or add a new function, which would then just have the same cost as is cider. But this is more backward compatible, right?
Yeah. And I'm just saying for the headroom cost, maybe that is something that will help us in the future. So
I guess
should we start with
we should give
25?
someone an action item to figure out like how much headroom we do have and how various changes affect that. I guess I can take that.
Try. Okay, thanks, Dan. If you need help, let me know.
So what kind of, do we have any decisions based on this? What I heard was maybe we just say implementation should be able to address like sparse priority spaces, because it's very hard to like come up with a set of numbers that like quote unquote fit into XYZ implementation wise. I also heard that the number of rules we should just limit to 25, because like it doesn't seem like very compelling to make it 100 from the start.
Yeah.
Is
I think that's all good action items.
Okay?
Yeah.
I can change the limits, by the way. I'll just send that PR like today, if that's what we think.
So Yeah, so I think let's do two things. So first is Dan said he's going to try to figure out how much headroom we have. So I mean, and meanwhile, Bove, I think you can send that PR to reduce it to 25 because we can always increase it, like you said. So I don't see
Yeah,
that
I
as
think
a-
Sean, like other folks on this call, it just seems like if it's always backwards compatible to increase it, then I'm not too stuck on like, oh, we had 25 and someone was like, no, you need whatever 50, and like, okay, fine.
But this implies we are not recommending that people implement this sparsely. We are requiring that people implement these sparsely because we may change the max values later. And so if you try to implement it the way that Ovian, Kubernetes, and Cilium are doing now, we say that we may break you in the future by doubling the range.
I think that's fine.
Oh, I do
for
too,
me.
but
because right, because it's like we're designing for the user, and then I don't know, it's just like a little bit too much like trying to like push things through from implementation to user. That's just my opinion. Like
Yeah,
you
and
will
for
inevitably get
implementations-
users complaining about it. So
Yeah, and for implementations, it is possible during upgrades to just reset that, right? To recreate all the rules at the right priority and move them. Yes, it's extra work, but it's not impossible to do that on the data plane side.
yeah, it just seems like one of those like, well, it's 2025, like just can we handle it? I hope so.
16 bits should be enough for anyone, by the way.
I know.
One other point on that, like Kubernetes has limits, like pods per node, maximum pods, all that sort of stuff, but there's nothing like enforcing it. You can create your, 250,000th and first pod. You can create, okay, the kubelet has a limit on its pods per node, but you can increase that limit if you want to. I think there's room for saying like the implementations have their own limits and those depend on the implementations. But I think sparse is quite desirable. Just it makes the priority so much easier to use.
But even with the sparse use case of 1,000 versus 1,500, why not have 3,000, right? Like it's the why 1,000? That still doesn't like that's where I mean it could be 500 and we can just say okay start using 50, 100, 150, 250, right? Whatever is the sparse.
Yeah, I
packing
think
you have
that's a good question, and I was going to bring that up. Is that I was actually going in the opposite direction. It's just like why not just have like a bigger space? That
Yeah, like
very
10,000
clearly
and
indicates to
be-
people that it's sparse.
Yeah, 10,000 and then go like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, right? Or even
I mean
bigger.
that's fine by me. I mean, like it's not constrained in our implementations.
So I think like 1,000 is just like from a human interface perspective, is like yeah, people can like hold that in their head. Like when you get to 10,000, people start having to do math, and then they get a little confused. I don't know. That's like there's not a really strong rationale.
But so actually we can't API compatibly change the range of priority in the future, right? Like if we can't say in the next version that, oh yeah, okay, you can go up to 10,000 now, because that means that people's priority 1,000 policies, existing policies now mean something very different.
Oh, I see. You want a max though, like.
Well, no, so we were saying we can increase the number of rules per policy without breaking people in the future, but we can't
Right.
increase the range of priority because right now 1,000 means the lowest precedence rule. And if we increase the priority range to 10,000, then an existing rule with priority 1,000 now suddenly has a fairly high precedence.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure that is a
yeah.
problem, but I do think it would be a non-back compatible change because the implementations wouldn't necessarily know what to do with it. So you'd have to coordinate with all the implementations to suddenly support 10,000 as your limit.
Wait, that is a backwards breaking change, right? Like you can't have your 10,000 policy compared to the 1,000, become
Yeah,
being
you'd have-
higher
You'd
priority.
have
or
to
some-
introduce
yeah.
a new, sub priority that is a fractional.
Yeah.
Oh, let's
But
not
I-
get into rational numbers and then but I'm not hearing like a very strong thing of like if we need to go above 1,000, I don't know, we could, seems like one of those things we could live with for now. Like
I guess we should just make
Good.
sure that we're happy with 1,000 rather than 100
10,000.
or
Yeah.
32,767, or
I like that number. It rolls off the tongue.
I'd prefer 10,000, but 1,000 is fine. I don't feel like 100 is enough. I think that could feel quite constraining when you're delegating ranges and stuff. I think it would be annoying, but it'd be just enough, but it'd be annoying for the user. That's my take.
Yeah, I think 100 might be a bit too less, although we've not had yet any complaints from people, so we'll see.
It's like
so I think these
it's like basic programs, right? It's like 10, print hello, 20, go to 10.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I think of.
All right. Do we have representation from Cilium on this call?
Blaj,
So since
Yeah,
this
I-
originally
I'm
coming
I'm
from
the one working
Cilium,
on the Cilium support. I can't really comment to this because I haven't looked at that part yet.
Okay, that's totally fine. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Because this is originally coming from the Cilium community, we just want to make sure if all of that is digestible and if there's something that maybe you can get back to us, because these are the decisions that we have taken so far. So we're not actually going ahead with that change, but we're saying we're going to stick with 1,000 for now.
yeah, Blaj,
but
like I think
yeah.
the isn't the proposal about how to map it still kind of TBD? So it's hard to say.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I'm working on a like, proof of concept to see what the consequences will be, and that will actually tell me how expensive or cheap this is.
Okay, so that seems like a data still needed.
Yeah. And also, if the real issue is like what Cilium is doing with 100,000, reducing the rules to 25 will at least get it down, right?
Correct.
Hopefully that
Yeah.
would help them get out of it. So we'll see. Cool. Okay, I think we have good action items and path forward documented. Dan's gonna help us with the headroom and the cell costs thing. Bo is gonna open a PR to reduce the rules to 25, and we should also have some docs recommendations for implementations and end users. Calling out the fact that the support of 1,000 priorities per tier is indeed for sparseness and not to misuse it, right? So who wants to take up that one? Maybe we need an issue for docs.
Oh, AI means action item. I thought you were assigning these to your AI bot.
No, action item. Okay, I can just open an issue for this and we can see if anyone wants to assign it to themselves, or I can just do it. Cool. Moving on to the next item, which is from Nadia. She has a PR up, which last I checked was right on CI and having conflicts, and it needed a rebase, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that just ready? Like she says it's green.
It's not green. I don't know if something else merged. It needs a rebase.
Okay. Do you know how long she's on vacation? Like, is this, if people are okay with it, then
She's
maybe we could
back
just,
tomorrow.
okay. Yeah, if she was out for like, 2 weeks, it'd be like, okay, maybe we should just create a different PR and just get it merged. Because otherwise it's like still failing, I'm assuming, like the conformance.
Yeah, I think her colleague told me she's back tomorrow, so let's see.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Next one, Huawei. Let's schedule an API review.
Yeah, I was talking to Tim, like we should just schedule an API review and try to target everything get in. Like I'm trying to think of like what we actually major changes apart from the ones that already have happened. And it doesn't seem like there are that many. So it would be good if we just pick a day, like maybe October. I'm giving a week, by the way, like the week of the 20th. Do we think we can just target that and then try to get all the API changes in? Because the biggest thing that needs to be reviewed is the like whole tier refactor, and everything else seems like there's like a bunch of nitpicky stuff, and which would come out in the review anyways. So what do folks think? Like this, I'm just suggesting this so then we can shoot for something API review wise.
So is this the last PR for us, or is there more things apart from what we spoke
So
about?
there
Right?
is
So we
the
want to get all
protocols
these small
one.
things.
Yeah, there's the
yeah.
protocols one, which is actually I want to discuss it if we have time, because then we could just make
Yeah.
a decision and kind of move on. There's like
Yeah,
protocols
do you have a
thing,
link
and
to
then
that one, Boyd?
yeah, let me find it. Let's see. Yeah, update ports to protocols. It's going to be this one. I'll drop it in the doc. So I do apologize. I was like implementing it and I kind of went back on our decision. So I just want to just double check. I can fix it pretty easily to the one that we wanted. But yeah, just go all the way down my comments. Like, yeah, it's like protocols port number seems more natural to me. I was staring at all the like a lot of the other APIs versus what we had decided on was like port name, port number, port range, which
I think
felt
the
less
reason why
Kubernetes-like.
we had said that when we were talking about it is because we want to make the easy case easy, right? And that's the case where you're specifying a single port number.
But it says port number. Anyways, I'm not too tied on this.
It's
I
more
was going through some other docs and I was just trying to see like what felt more natural. But if we think we just do port number, that's okay. I'll fix the PR like pretty much today. I think validation wise, shouldn't present a problem. Because I added a cell that's like if it's like the known port protocols, then it will check the existence of like port something, which you can do in cell.
Didn't it blow the cost for you?
Did it? I don't know.
Because within those 100 rules, you can also have 100 protocol ports.
Yeah, this cost envelope is like a bit of a wrinkle in all this.
Yeah, you know what? I think we should change this number as well. So within a single, so I think we're saying we're going to reduce it to 25 rules, right? And within each rule, we seem to be allowing another 100 peers. That's too much.
Okay,
then-
yeah, so I'll send a PR to reduce these limits. Yeah,
Yeah.
so-
that's-
on this one, like, what do people think? Port number, one word. I'm not super tied up on this.
Let me go back to the. So this is what you're proposing now, or is what you say you prefer. What was the original agreement? The
It was
one in the
like
design which we discussed?
port number, just, yeah, that, the port range, port number, yeah.
Yeah, it's protocol, port, and if it's not a range, how is it?
That's scroll back a little further. But no, just like one line
Mhm.
further than where you were. Like Nadia was asking, why did you do it this way?
Oh,
And
This
then the
one?
thing that you were looking at, she said, why did you do this instead of that? Right. So the right, that is what we had agreed on. The one above is what Bowie implemented.
Yeah,
but
again,
what about
I
a
think
single port? Here. So if it was not a range, right? Then if it was a single port, it would be protocol TCP, a port, and then number, right?
No, I think it was just port:80.
Oh, okay. I see.
And protocol is presumably optional and defaulted.
Okay, I mean, yeah,
But, I
maybe
mean,
the,
We,
Yeah,
we,
yeah.
we can argue. I was just, filling in what we had decided and why, but, we came up with that in half an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
yeah, now I'm looking at it, if it's port:80, yeah, I could live with that. It's funny, I was just
think I can live with
staring at
either.
the other. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can see both sides of the coin because if you have port:80 and then port: and then the next thing you need start and end. So- Yeah, both works for me. Anybody else has any strong preference on whether it should be port and number 80 or just port:80?
I kind of feel like people use port numbers in network policies too much anyway, so I don't actually mind making it harder. And more annoying.
Yeah. This one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of feels more flowing to me as well.
Everyone go
Okay.
comment with your vote on the VR.
Yeah. I think that's what we should do. Let's all drop a comment on Voice VR with what we prefer. Okay, maybe we go back to. So there was one more item which we skipped over, which was from you. Oh no, did I lose everyone?
Huh? Can you hear us?
Hey,
I
sorry,
can.
my connection died.
Oh, it was boy. Okay, because I keep hearing sounds from everyone, but I wasn't sure if it was something on my side.
Okay, I think yeah, it looks like it's back. But you know what? I will, if folks don't see any issues, then I will change it back to the other one, the port : optional number. It should be fine. And then I will move port range back out, and then
Wait,
I
I think
will.
what we
Oh,
hold
sorry.
on. I think yeah, so maybe you kind of lost us. So what we said is each of us is gonna comment on your PR in what we think is the better, because I think some of us are angling towards what you have, which is port protocol port number, because that's what people use in network policies today.
Right. Let me just take a look. So like ingress ports. Anyways, I also dropped the link for that. This is like how I look at the APIs. Just I have this utility, so just like visualize it. But anyways,
That's actually pretty cool.
so that's where it came up. Like, oh well, that seems more consistent. But you know, I was looking around at other APIs to try to see like an example. Anyways, please comment on the PR. I'll probably check later today, like California time, and then maybe I'll send another PR if folks have basically see there's like a convergence.
Yeah. I think we'll all drop a comment, or if whoever's interested, please drop a comment on OSPR, and we can move that forward. Bowie, do you want to come back to the other issue? We had one more item on the agenda.
Right. So I just, this is just like a FYI. So I'm looking at all of the other pending items, and then I might just send PRs or what have you for the docs at the very least. So if you think you were going to do something and I send a PR, it's just because I'm just like trying to make sure we have something active on each one. If you know, if you're going to grab it, then I'll just close my PR. But yeah.
That's totally fine. I mean, thank you for actually working on the items. I don't think you'll have any complaints from anyone in the community.
Yeah,
Only
just
my
FYI,
friends,
just like
so.
I don't want to like, you know, overwrite people's stuff. It's just I just want to make sure there's like an active activity on each one.
Yeah, I think that should be good, Bowie. And it's a lot of issues that we do need to finish up. So I think things remaining are Nadia's PR, and then your PR and port protocol, and then the docs. And then I'm gonna
That's right.
add the items revisit. Well, number of items revisit PR.
The
I think
other
those are
one,
all the API changes, right?
yeah, I had that user stories one. I don't know if that one still needed, or is it? Oh yeah, update user stories.
I thought we merged it, didn't we, or not yet?
Not yet.
Does it? This one. Was this waiting on? Okay, I can take a look at this one. I think this was pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, so there was some comments, and then I like fixed them, and then Dan was asking about keeping the old stuff, but you know, you do have Git history, and it's like I was saying the value of keeping old stuff like rapidly decreases over time at this stage of the project. So, you know, for whatever it's worth.
It would have been nice if we had that here, right? Like, so if I went to the website, if I could click on a versioning for the docs, that would be ideal. Where if I go to the older one, I can still see. You know, so if I did
so like,
one doc,
if we wanted,
see that docs, yeah.
Yeah. My inclination is we want the historical snapshot. Maybe it makes sense to do it in a separate change than this one, because like at this point, like I'm more focused on trying to clean everything up to the current like state, and then if at the worst case, like we could just check out the old branch and generate the docs and just stuff it somewhere as like a self-consistent thing.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we're able to go do that for the versioning, we should be fine. I think, like you said, it's maintained in Git, right? So since
Yeah.
you've tagged that part, I hope that anyone who complains can go do a PR to fix the docs.
Okay, so folks, take a look, I guess, on that one. We can get that merged.
Is that okay for you, Dan? Or are you hard blocked on?
No, I was just seeing what people thought.
Yeah. Okay, I think I can take this one after the call.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, anything else, folks? And I think the week of 20th might be okay. I mean, I'm on PTO then, so I won't be able to join, but I think that should be fine.
Yeah, let me see what the dates are, right? It's like I'm gonna get Tim, Antonio, like Dan, obviously, like just everyone, and then if it doesn't work out on the 20th, then I'll try to find some other thing. But that's kind of what I'm targeting, because then we have this week and next week to get all the changes in, and hopefully actually the doc changes, and then we can present something that's fairly self-consistent and complete.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Thank you, Bove, for driving the items forward. And we are at the end of the agenda. Anything else that folks want to bring up?
Can we just scan through the PRs real quick just to see if there's any other ones out there that need to
Yes.
be looked at?
Okay. This one is about a blog post on the V1 Alpha 2 changes from Frozen Process. I do not know who this is. Is Frozen Process in the call?
Their profile is pretty funny. It's like, I do computer stuff, location Earth. Okay. So,
I thought Nadia said she wanted to do a blog, but oh, it's from Sean's team.
okay.
Is Sean on the call? Guess not. Oh, you're here. Is this from your team?
Yeah, Reza's in our well, he's our dev advocate. He
Okay.
didn't coordinate with me on any of this stuff, so I think he's trying to help, but I don't.
That's good.
Yeah.
No complaints, but maybe good to sync with Nadia. I don't know. I think she had a blog post item, but it doesn't matter who does it. So if folks want to review the blog
I
post,
was on PTO, so yeah, I need to sync up with them and see what you do.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. If folks have cycles for me, please review that one. But I think that's not urgent. Oh well, maybe I should mark it for the 1.2 milestone, right? Don't we want the blog post?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let me add it to the milestone.
Oh, right. So we can milestone these, I guess, and then we can just look at the milestone in the future.
That's how I've been doing it. So all of these, hopefully a protocol thing should be here. Yeah, the issue is here, but maybe I should add your PR as well.
Yeah. So I think it's like the docs, update force protocols, fix validation, update user stories, priority range. And then it looks like the rest is not as relevant. I'm trying to. And then the NPEP for protocols.
I think this one is relevant, right? The CIDR validation dance one.
Yeah.
That's an API change.
Yeah.
And then this one, which I said I'll take a look at. Okay. Sorry, I think I got you. What about Casey's thing? I think we said for now we're not doing that one. The no, this is not that important. And this one is, I think I marked it already. Yeah. Update site with, and oh, minor rewording of priority conflict. Hey, didn't we get that? Or-
No, that one, there were some comments and then I think I fixed the nits. If you want to take a look, also it's on the old version. So like at this point, I'm not sure if it matters.
Oh, I think it's good to maybe get this one in and then, or is it in the V1 Alpha 2, or do we need to port it to V1 Alpha 2 now?
At this point, I'm just going to close it for the most part. And then if we need to update the text, I think it got rewritten potentially, but I have to check.
Okay. Okay, so I'll not add this to the milestone as if I'm like you said. This one had an embed. Is this still required? Or is this, oh, more protocols, but I think this is the ICMP one, right?
Yeah, so we should park that. That's not V1 Alpha 2. Or sorry, don't add it to V1 Alpha 2 milestone.
Yeah, I agree. Dry run not required, CIDR group not required, tenancy not required. Okay, I think we have added everything we require to the master. So as long as we work towards reviewing and finishing these items before we do our API review, it should be solid. Ah, didn't we do this already? Why is this showing up? Did you have a PR for this? Which much?
Yeah. I forget why this was left open.
That's it. Did I find it there? No. Okay, I think we are in a good shape. Anything else, folks? All right, if not, we can have 4 minutes back. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.